a YouTube show full of fun facts you need to know. Carl rings the bell and the members show to the GMP morning show. Featured guests will come and they will blow your mind. The audience will do so in kind. The little vanity mixed with some insanity on the morning show with GMP. Hey, Gumpers.
Hola, bon dia, alegria. Munson here with the Good Morning Portugal show live stream and the podcast. How are you doing, podcast listeners? How are you? Haven't heard from any of you, one of you even, for quite a while. Now, give us a shout out. Drop me a line, carl@goodmorningportugal.com, or drop us a line on the phone, which I've been reunited with. Wow, that was quite something. The last 48 hours or so without my phone. You get to find out what you rely on it for when you don't have it anymore. A nice little story around that. Very much a Portuguese culture thing, I think, with the added influence of foreigners as well. So really lovely team effort reuniting me with my phone. So thank you very much for that. Might tell the story about that if we have time today. Good morning to you, Mike and Karen. One bag and a passport. Bon dia from a foggy Miranda de Corvée. So yeah, phone is found. It's been emotional. Been very interesting, very educational actually to be without the phone for nearly 2 days there. Hey, Pedro, how are you this morning? Good to see you. Como estão? Tudo bem? Bom dia, Portugal. De Pedro. No, Pais de Gales. Sorry, there's a bit too much in there, I think. How are you, Pedro? I hope you're part of why was I going to say Spain? It's all that same Celtic frontier I was writing about. Storm Bert only last night and this morning. Storm Bert really gave the Celtic frontier a bit of a bashing. You're part of it in Wales, of course. How are you this morning? Do let us know, and I hope that wasn't too difficult for you. The effects of Bert. Supposed to be a few more storms on the way, so let's batten down the hatches. I think that's good advice, generally speaking, isn't it? To batten down the hatches at the moment. Meteorologically and mentally and spiritually, I would say. Right, we've got Sarah joining us at around 9:30 this morning. Lots going on in the world of, I've got an itchy hooter, and that means nose if you're English. Goodness only knows what it means if you're American, and what its significance might be, although there's probably a proprietary cream for that if you have itchy hooters in the United States. Probably don't like that first thing in the morning, to be fair. Right, where were we? Sarah Davie, not in any way connected. Oh, my goodness. When you're in a hole, stop digging. But that's what this show's all about. It's one great big hole in which I continue to dig until around 10 o'clock, when actually this morning, on a serious note, Siobhan from Quinta will be joining us. I don't know a great deal about what's gone on, but I got a rather desperate-sounding message this morning from Siobhan. One of the association members at Quinta, a Portuguese friend who lives in Thailand, has gone missing, and we're going to see what we can do. We'll get to the background information on that and see what I don't know how we can help, but we're glad to if we possibly can. So Siobhan will be joining me at 10 for a somewhat extended version of the show, and we'll see what we can do to help out with it's a man called Daniel dos Santos, as I understand it. He has gone missing in Thailand. We'll talk to Siobhan more about that and see what we can do to help him get reunited with his family over there. But he is known in this area previously in Celia de Porto here on the Silver Coast. We've got the Chakra Shakers also joining us at 9:15. Not yet, Natasha. No worries. See you in a little while. I really feel bad when I get the rock and rollers to join me on the breakfast show. They should be asleep, dreaming about music and touring the world. They shouldn't be up at this time of day, but they are discovering there is another 9 o'clock. There are two 9 o'clocks, Natasha and Joe. One in the evening, where you're normally getting ready with all your gear and going out on the road, and playing. And there's a 9 o'clock in the morning as well. Thank you for joining us for that one this morning. See you in about 5 minutes, 10 minutes. And we'll find out more about the Chakra Shakers performance in the Probidosh. See what I did there? Prohibition Bar in Obidosh, the Probidosh. They'll be performing there real soon. And they're also going on another Asian tour soon. So we'll find out more about that as well. Morning to you, T Duck. Ashmal Yorash, amigo. And Antonio F also here. Bon dia, todos as well. Hooters, like those burns I was talking about yesterday. Thank you, James, for all your help with all of these transcultural issues. Bon dia, Portugal from João Ernesto as well. And Aviva's in. Lovely showing of Gumpers this morning. The riot of Gumpers assembled here for your pleasure and delight this morning. Hola, bon terça. It's a beautiful day in Madeira. Thank you, Aviva. Got a picture? Can you send us a photo? 913-590-303. It'd be smashing to see a photo of that lovely morning you've got in Madeira there. James was in early with the Bon Dia Gumpers, Feliz Terça a Todos, and more Portuguese vocabulary. We're going to do much more to help learn. I know I've said this before, and this is how it goes, isn't it, with learning the Portuguese language? But we will step it up a gear in 2025. Let's do some daily practice, shall we? James has always been doing that. Como é el vosso dia? A nice bit of vocab for us there. And I'm sure he will support us, as others will, as we go into the new year, and strengthen our resolve and make more of an effort to learn Portuguese together. Got to go early again today. More appointments to attend to. Hope it went well yesterday. Let's do the God Squad tip of the day then. In anticipation of a busy show this morning. Let's not forget this. Let's do it now so that we don't. The God Squad tip of the day. Bom dia a todos e feliz terça. Como estão? Says Coach Turner. Training this afternoon. But as I haven't been for a couple of weeks, we'll have to take it easy. Yes, slow and steady wins that race. Coach Turner with your God Squad tip of the day. Leg strength is probably the most important as we age. And we know it reduces steadily unless we do something about it. Use it or lose it. But how strong do we need to be? Here's a simple test to see whether your legs are strong enough. Don't worry if you can't do it, because there's exercises that you can do to rectify it. Also, not many over 50s can. It's not that thing where you end up with your face in a bowl of squirty cream, is it? As we saw yesterday on the show. Sit in a dining chair or similar, where your legs are at 90 degrees or greater. Okay, that makes your knees higher, presumably, than your hips. That's probably the ideal, though, isn't it? Get your knees on the same level as your hips. Lift one foot off the ground. Can I do that now? With your hands close to your chest. Stand up on the other leg. What? Lift one foot off the ground and with your hands close to your chest, stand up on the other leg. Obviously, try both legs. We'll look at a variety of different exercises to improve leg strength during the rest of the week. It's getting your leg over week by the sound of it. Who doesn't like? Fantastic. Excellent. Well, that's what I'm going to call it. And that should attract more people to the yard to find out more, Coach Turner. Thank you very much for that. That sounds interesting. I can't try that right now because if that goes horribly wrong, I'm going to be in an awkward situation for the next 50 minutes or so. Joe Mack also limbering up behind the scenes. This is amazing. I've already apologized, Joe, for getting you up at this 9 o'clock. I know you're more familiar with the other one. So I do appreciate you being here this morning. See you in a few minutes. Barack, I saw Lady Travanka's photo on Facebook this morning of that lovely morning, looking out over all that you survey there. Can I show that? Would you mind? Can you ask Michelle if I can show that picture this morning that was captured of your beautiful part of central Portugal? Bon dia from Pam as well. And Owen. Hola, everyone. Great to see you, Owen. You and me, mate. I don't think either of us have recovered from the Caldash umbrellas, the brollies, the Waholi Broholis, as they're known in this house. Yes, I may. That's good. Okay, let me do that before I forget about it. This is the view to Travanca this morning. Isn't that lovely? Out over the hills there. What is that? Is that the Serra da Estrela mountain range here? I may have asked you this before, Barak, Lord Barak, or Lord Travanca. But yes, can you confirm for us what that mountain range is? But look, what a beautiful morning there. And what a nice pizza oven you seem to have there as well. Unless that's your neighbour's. I think that's probably your pizza oven. Can't wait to try a slice out of there one of these days. Right. Where were we? We were talking, we've done the, Simply Live is here. We've done the God Squad tip of the day. Let's do a few other bits and pieces before we have Natasha and Joe from the Chakra Shakers ready to speak to us. And yes, it is very nice. Excellent. Bon di Alegria from Simply Live, right? Tell us more about yourself, Simply Live. You sound like the sort of guest we should have on the show. It'd be lovely to see you. I know where I was. I was thinking of ceramic phalluses because I was reminded of those by Owen. Why, you might ask? Well, we found ourselves under them. You may have seen the short video that's up on YouTube of us being thoroughly disgusted by those artifacts. And I was in a cafe in Caldas yesterday. There's a lovely cafe called Citrus. And the problem with their lovely upstairs now is as you sit there, as our friend Rose was, we discovered, I was thinking, that poor woman, she's trying to get on with her work in the Citrus Cafe on the first floor. Good morning to you, Rose. And she's got her headphones in, she's got a laptop up, she's doing her work. And all she can see when she looks out of the window are phallically adorned umbrellas. So I'm guessing it might have been quite hard for her to concentrate on her work with all of that going on. I'm going to try that exercise, Ian. Very good. There you go. A God Squad tip of the day subscriber right there. And the whole course, of course, is available at the Portugal Club, where you are a member, as I recall, Viva. Right, before we speak to the Chakra Shakers, Simply Live, happy to chat sometime. I was a global nomad for 3 years, now here for 5 years. Minimalist, passionate about health, working on my... I'd love to talk to you. Drop me a line, 913-590-303, because I have my phone back that was lost, as it turns out, at the top of a cliff. I mean, that sounds more dramatic than it actually was, but it was up by overlooking Grallia. Fell out of my pocket after I put it away because I didn't think I had any battery. And it fell onto the floor as I got back into my car, or as I was walking over to my car. And it was found by somebody whose name I don't know. They use a kind of pseudonym on Facebook called Dicky Emails or something like that. A strange name on Facebook, but I've made contact. They've gone on holiday for a couple of weeks, and I was able to pick up the phone at the Welsh bar. They left a message on a Facebook group, San Martino de Porto Facebook group. If you drop your phone at Grallia this morning, found a phone at Grallia, I've dropped it off at the Welsh bar. Went to the Welsh bar, had a quick drink, bought some of Tudor's lovely pork and apple pies. It was a great day out. All's well that ends well with the phone, but how lovely that I could lose my phone. I have gone to all the trouble of deactivating it, sadly, on the network. And that was quite the ordeal. Popping into the GNR police station to see if they'd received it there. That was frosty. But on the other hand, the lovely folk of San Martino de Porto, the Welsh, the Dutch, and the Portuguese, all coming together to make for a lovely community where if you drop your phone when you're out walking the dogs by the cliff, it gets handed in to a local shop. Absolutely brilliant result and resolution to that particular interesting and emotionally charged episode in my life. Right, before the Chakra Shakers get here, just a quick couple of notices, things that have come to my attention. Did you notice that Tony, the Portugueser, was talking about his disability yesterday? Apparently, he has 2 left feet. There's a picture of them there. He's got 2 left feet. Still a great dancer, apparently. Beautifully modeled there. He doesn't let it get to him, this particular difficulty in his life. 2 left feet, as you can see, they're 2 big toes on the same side. And lovely sock and sandal combo, the Parkside flip-flops. And he tells a story in his latest YouTube video of his, well, actually for him, it's flips, isn't it? Because he's got 2 left feet. And that means because the Lidl staff, Parkside is a brand of Lidl, and the staff in Oliveira do Hospital wouldn't let him split up. You know how you can split up a multi-pack of milk or soda pops or whatever in the supermarket? They don't allow it with flip-flops. This was the whole story that he was telling yesterday. So he had to buy 2 pairs to make some flip-flips, which means there's a pair of flop-flops available. They're a European size 42. If you're interested in those, I can put you in touch with Tony, but they're brand new. He'll have only been using the pair on the right. The pair on the left, I imagine, are mint box fresh is the expression I'm looking for. Yours, I'm sure, for a very reasonable price as well. Flop-flops for sale. Flip-flips are for Tony to be using. And for some strange reason, this also came up on my feed this morning. What is going on there? Is that a cure for bunions or rheumatism or something? We did talk about putting cabbage leaves on various parts of the body, didn't we, to bring relief? There you go. Maybe if you've been out for a long walk, wrapping a cabbage leaf, which you can do so easily in Portugal, might be a good way of making your feet feel better. But drop me a line if you're interested in the flop flops. Let's not keep them waiting any longer. Let's give them a massive round of applause. It's the Chakra Shakers. Woo! All right. Hey there. How are you this morning? Joe,
Good morning, Carl.
Natasha, I think you might have to unmute for us. You're in different buildings this morning, it would appear. Oh, no, Natasha, it's not unmuted.
Natasha, get your mic going.
There we go. Good morning.
There we go. There we've got it. How are you, Natasha?
Fine, thank you. We're in different countries. I'm in England.
Not only in different rooms, but in different countries. Those rooms are in different countries. Well, how is England this morning?
Beautiful. It's really sunny.
Is it? How lovely. Oh, look at that. That's a fine winter morning in the UK.
It is.
Are you anywhere near the snow? Did you get some snow there as well?
No, I saw little remnants of snow, but it's all gone now.
What a lovely name for an album. Remnants of
Snow.
We're never far away from living slush. First track, slush.
Slush.
So you're in UK. Joe, I take it you're in Portugal.
I am in Portugal. Yep.
All right, fantastic. And you got a gig coming up real soon, right? This is the Prohibition gig. Tell us about it, if you will. What's going to be happening?
Well, let's see. The logistics are it's Thursday at the Prohibition Bar at 8 p.m. You know, usually we play in the afternoon there, but we're going to do a little evening set.
Yep.
And this is our big going away kind of shindig for the last gig of 2024 in Portugal. And a bit of a celebration, celebrating all our friends and our little community that we've built here.
Well, a lot has happened this year, isn't it? My goodness, for the music scene and for you. How's that been, Natasha? I mean, there was a time, wasn't there, at the Rex bar? I know you're not allowed to say that, and I've probably got to put some money. I've got to put some money in a jar, I think, haven't I? Whenever I say that, but
yeah,
there were jam sessions in the old Rex bar, weren't they? That you were leading there, Joe, and I think Natasha, you were part of that as well. And now look at it, how it's all happening this year, isn't it?
Yeah, well, you know what? I think that we have moved forward with our little music scene, and Rich over there is really looking forward to booking more original music, which I think is culturally a move forward.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's nice to see things grow, and it's nice to see things advance a little bit. Not that that's really the fate that I want for Portugal as advancement, but for music and culture, sure, why not?
Yeah, fantastic. And how lovely to be able to say this is our final Portuguese gig of the year, and then we're off to Asia. Tell us about that, Natasha. I think I've got a bunch of posters here. Is that the? Oh, there it is.
It's changing every minute, but it's incredible. You would think it would be difficult to book in Asia, but just within about 10 minutes of sending WhatsApp messages to Indonesia and Malaysia, we get booked shows, which is very exciting. It's all underground. They won't announce the venues until about 2 days before because it's slightly illegal. And then the local bands come together and, lots of live music. We'll see how it goes. It's very exciting.
So there's a big thirst for live music, is there? And people coming in?
Yeah, and most of the kids that we'll be playing for could be our grandchildren, I think. They're teenagers and in their early 20s, but they're passionate about hearing live original music, so it's very exciting.
You're going to Ipoh. That's where my grandparents lived in Malaysia. That's incredible.
It looks really beautiful there. Yeah,
imagine
they're very excited. They want to stay for a few days to show us around.
Do they? So that's part of it then, is it? You're having a nice little holiday as well. I know you're going to be busy and you're going to be working very hard. But when we spoke about your Asian tour last time, it is great fun being over there, is it not?
Yeah, absolutely. And to meet real people who are interested in the same things as we are. We'll be sleeping on floors probably in record shops, but it's still
rock and roll,
isn't it?
Well, yeah, that sounds amazing. And you say, like, the kids who are watching you are young enough to be your grandchildren. What's that like? What is going on in Asia? Is there a massive interest then in music that's coming in from outside the country and from other decades. What do you make of that phenomenon?
Well, what I do know about Indonesia is Indonesia has an absolutely flourishing original music and indie music scene.
Yeah.
And this I did not know before, but when I started looking up Indonesian music, they just have every genre is there. So they're pretty advanced in that way.
And just got jumped on the chance to hear your music. How would you when you're describing your music to them, what are you calling it?
What
Well,
are we saying? I don't know if it's working, is it?
Well, you just we're the Chakra Shakers, and they say, "Oh, yeah, you're booked. You're fine." That sounds like a great name. You sound great. Just come and play. That's all good.
Kind of. We are calling this the Peace, Love, and Rock and Roll Tour. Ultimately, we're a rock and roll band. There's no. I mean, sure, we have kind of punky roots and all types of roots, Americana roots, and Natasha's got her '80s rock roots, and there's all kinds of elements in there. But ultimately, we're a rock and roll band, and we're out there trying to promote peace and love. That's like the whole agenda. And I think that we've found that as we're doing gigs, that seems to resonate in this time. That people, they want to hear about peace, and they want to hear about love, and they want to hear people promoting these positive vibes.
Yeah, and I'm hoping that is absolutely right. That weird times, these are the strangest of times we're living in, but the silver lining is the culture that can come forth, and that's been absent, I would say, in the last little while. We haven't had that might be more about me than the underground music scene that I'm complaining we're having a lack of. I just don't know about it, maybe. But hopefully these strange times are going to produce a renaissance of incredible music, and you'll be inspired.
Yeah, I can relate to is growing up in California in the 80s, in the Reagan era, and finding out about punk rock and just how completely influential it was. That of course, people think punk rock is this sort of violent, negative kind of attributes, but actually, for me, it was the exact opposite. It was an open door to a new way of thinking and a new culture and a new identity. And I think it really did a lot of help for me and a lot of other people in the 80s in these times of Reagan and
a counterpoint to the comment to the general culture, and that's so needed now. I would say there is it's about responding to the dominant narrative, which you explained there at that time. And you could argue, couldn't you, that the cultural narratives are even more dominant and in your face and flatter. The bandwidth of what you're supposed to think and believe and feel seems to have got very tight. And then in that tight little bandwidth is a polarity as well. Not only is it all squashed and very obvious and very sort of dictatorial, you're either that side of it or you're that side of it, and that's where we're at. And maybe music can come in and just, I don't know, do a great big rainbow fart on that and blow it all up and bring the peace and love that you're talking about.
Yeah, a rainbow Trump, would that be?
A rainbow Trump. We've got to be careful using that sort of language, and I don't mean rainbow. Right? Okay. So this is Thursday's give. If people want to get a taste of your peace and love and rock and roll, they can do this at 8 o'clock at the Prohibition this coming Thursday evening. Right? That's the last gig here in Portugal. All right. And when are you setting off for Asia?
Sunday the 8th, but we leave Portugal next Monday to come back to the UK for a little spell.
Really?
So Sunday the 8th is when we fly to Bangkok.
And a mini tour of the UK before you set off for Asia, is that?
Yeah, no, helping my elderly parents. Not so rock and roll.
That's the other side of rock and roll that people don't generally hear about. Right, shout out to the parents this morning. And that's another poster, isn't it? The intimate evening with Chakra Shakers and friends. That's another poster for this Thursday. And is this another one?
This is our new single that with 2 songs about Cambodia, and that's kind of what we're picking for our Asian trip.
And where can people buy that? Because that's quite important, isn't it?
Yes, they can go to our Bandcamp page, Way Underground with 2 A's. I can send you that link right now.
Yeah, please do. If you send me to that in the private chat there, that'll be great. And Gumpers, if you've got any questions for the Chakra Shakers, like how do I start a rock and roll band? That would be a very good question, because we need more of this all over the country, all over the world. And I want to ask you where you want to go next as well, Chakra Shakers. So I think you've got a lovely little circuit in Portugal. Maybe not as big as you'd like. Suddenly, your popularity in Asia is growing, and everywhere you want to play there, they're saying, "Yeah, come over, it's fine." Where else in the world would you like to go next?
Well, let's see. We had a pretty nice time in Eastern Europe this summer. We went to Berlin and a bunch of places like that. We're talking about possibly going to North and South America.
Right.
As a trip. I've got some family and, of course, connections with the rock and roll world in California and the West Coast.
Yep.
So that would be something that we could do within our means.
And that's how it begins, isn't it? You kind of need one foothold, do you? And then you can build a tour around it.
Yeah, essentially. I mean, we're kind of in a unique position that we're not struggling artists 20 years old having to eat cans of beans when we tour. We can kind of manage ourselves these days a little better than we could as kids. So that makes touring a bit easier. We do a home exchange, so we cut out the rent aspect.
Yep.
And of course, Natasha's an amazing cook, so we cut out a lot of the food expenses.
That came as a bit of a surprise to you, Natasha. There, I'm sure you are.
Oh, it's nice to get some flattery from across the world.
How nice.
The channel.
Sorry, I'm sat in between you here. That's better, isn't it?
Oh.
Right. So there's the website for buying music. Go to Bandcamp, support the band. The Chakra Shakers like that. Look, you're getting a little bit of love.
High five, Natasha.
High five.
That's the right hand.
It's very difficult. It's like it's a spatial awareness test.
I know.
First thing in the morning. But yeah,
Can't
way
work it out.
underground with bandcamp.com. And that's where you can buy the music. Anything else you want to tell us, Chakra Shakers, before we go back to bed?
Let's see. I know we're not supposed to tout our own successes, but we did some really nice benefits this year also for the soup kitchen in Caldas, and we probably raised I don't know how much, but a good chunk of money for that. And it's another nice thing we do in this little area. And that's another aspect. This set that we're doing on Thursday is kind of we're obviously a multifaceted band, and when we play actual rock clubs, we turn it up and play actual rock and roll. But for the expat people and the white-haired people and stuff, we have another set.
We're the white-haired people, Joe.
What a demographic.
I call it like I said. What can I say?
Right. Yeah, fair enough. We know who we
At
are.
least you said white-haired people, not bald people.
Well, go ahead. Why not? I mean, that would have a nice couple of because I was going to say that would be quite a good Venn diagram, but you can't actually have bald white-haired people, can you? Unless you've got a bit of going on. But anyway, sorry, carry on, you amazing people, as Jacqueline Branco.
The point I guess I'm trying to make is that the set that we're going to do on Thursday is probably a bit more of a folksy set, a bit more of the country stuff that we do, and the love songs, and this the nice vibes set, as opposed to the full on Motorhead rock and roll set. So
yeah, in that picture there, that's you like going flat out, isn't it? It's turned up to 11
at a club called Adao in Barreiro, and it's one of our absolute favorite places to play in Portugal. And it was such an honor to get to play there.
Yeah. Who have you got on drums there? Who's that?
Stephen. That's Stephen on drums, but Paolo also played floor tom with us, which was epic, having two drummers on that set.
So you do mix it up a bit as you tour around the world as well. And on Thursday, it's going to be a mixture of your original material and some covers, is it? Rock and roll covers.
Right. Yeah.
Fantastic. Well, have a great night on Thursday. I'm sure it's going to be a lot of fun.
Thank you. I hope you can join us.
Yes, let me see, but I would love to. And yeah, have a good one. And I mean, it's just the beginning, isn't it, of then going to UK and then off to Asia for how long?
3 months.
Amazing. Have a wonderful time.
Thank
if you
you
do
very
get
much.
the chance, if our time zones and things, our vibes overlap, do send us some photos from Southeast Asia. That'd be really wonderful. if you can remember to do that. Otherwise, I'm sure people can keep in touch with you at the Bandcamp address. Can they get in touch with you there if they want to suggest a venue or invite you to come and play? Are there contact details there as well, or is it just download the music?
I think so, but the nice thing about the Chakra Shakers is it doesn't seem like anybody else globally has that name. So if you type Chakra Shakers into Google or Instagram or wherever, it's us. So yeah,
it is a great name as well. Who came up with that?
We don't know. It's one of those great questions. It seems to be a combination of things, but we did find an old notebook of Joe's from several years ago that had the name Chakra Shakers in it. So it's been in his mind for a while.
For some reason, I've got it in my mind like a diary entry. Samuel Pepys, you know. I went to a tavern last evening, and verily, I had my chakras shaken. They were the most amazing troubadours in there. Brilliant. Okay, Chakra Shakers, thank you so much for being here. Have a great evening on Thursday and a wonderful Southeast Asian tour. Ciao, ciao.
Thank you.
Yep. Bye for now. Right, let me just give the link to their where you can download their music. Always great fun talking to them. Way Underground 2As.bandcamp.com. Talking to Sarah Davie in just a moment. Got a few things to talk to Sarah Davie about. First of which I think is putting Paris's nose out of joint. Sarah sent me a clipping, like an e-clipping, a screenshot of how Lisbon, I think, has undermined Paris as a great place to go and be. Antonio, you know what to do, and he's urging you to do it. Hit that like button, folks. And yeah, Tudo, I think you're a fan of the Chakra Shakers, aren't you? You may have purchased some of their music previously. Two drummers, like the Grateful Dead or Adam and the Ants. Any other bands that you can think of with two drummers, do let me know. Before we go to Sarah, I think there were some other things I wanted to show. Yeah, don't forget that pair of flop-flops is available, a European size 42. You too, if you have two right feet, can look a lot like, I don't know where he got the socks from. They look like they are either Nike socks or they're a Nike influenced by Nike tribute socks that were bought from the local market. There's this from Heather. Important. Just a reminder that cooking bags for turkeys will kill parrots within 30 minutes if used where you have parrots. Now, I've never heard of that as a serving suggestion. I know Americans like to eat turkey and cats and dogs, as we found out in the last few months. And now parrots, unless I've misunderstood that, of course. But that I can't imagine there's a lot of leg or breast. No, and they're an endangered species, so I'm not going to say any more or endorse that kind of behavior. What's this? Oh, this must be one of Mrs. M's memes that's left on my picture deck here. Quantum entanglement. I'll see you later on for a quantum entanglement. That sounds like fun there. And what was this? Can priests, this is boots. That looks like an X post, doesn't it? Can priests bless stuff other than water? I just think holy guacamole should mean something. Yes, what else? If you can have anything blessed by a priest in the food department, what would it be? Probably not a foot kebab wrapped in cabbage. That's definitely taken something from the stuffed vine leaf recipe book, has it not there? Okay, let's give her a nice big round of applause and bring her onto the screen. It'll be Sarah Davie of Spartan FX. Morning, Sarah.
Bom dia.
Hola, bom dia, tudo bem?
Bom dia, tudo bem? Someone was saying to me yesterday, because I'm in the UK visiting family and friends, and they were like, as long as you can do the greetings. I was like, yes, but the problem with that is you start with the greetings, and then people think, you speak Portuguese, and then they follow up with, and then you're like, oh no, sorry, that's it. That's all I've got.
Yes, it's a well-known situation that certainly for me, and I have to say with some head hung in shame, it takes quite some time to go from that bit where you can feel very proud of yourself for making that first, connection with people, to actually going anywhere meaningful thereafter. I think that's quite a big step thereafter. But 10 out of 10, 11 out of 10 for being able to engage and being willing to, because that's the main thing. And I'm sure you found that goes a long way. Just your first greeting and making the greeting. It's important, isn't it, to say good morning, good afternoon, or good night to people.
I think what's nice, I mean, it's not to say that we're not pleasant in the UK, but I feel like
Yes.
we'll
Well,
caveat that.
all right.
But I do feel the Portuguese are a little bit more, you know, they do say good morning, how are you, or good, you know, the greetings or that sort of nice gestures are
Yeah.
always there at the start of every sentence. So if
Yeah.
you go in a shop, you go anywhere, it's almost like you have to do the
Yeah.
nice greetings, hello,
Yeah.
how are you, before any sort of conversation happens,
Isn't that
which I think
lovely?
is quite nice.
Oh, I think that's fantastic. I do really appreciate that. And when you forget, you get a kind of gentle reminder, don't you? The other person will say, "Hola, bom dia," and then we can proceed with the
Yeah.
matter in hand. Very good. Oh, the Fall sometimes had two drummers. I met Mark E. Smith, didn't know he was Mark E. Smith, and I think I told him to cheer up, which was something you should probably never tell Mark E. Smith to do, or should have done back in the day. Those fans will know what a faux pas that was on my part there. Before we start talking about currency and your new life in Portugal, Sarah, a greeting from Peda, who's fine in Guideli, which is in the southwest, not far from Carmarthen. No real problems. The big floods were in the valleys of South Wales, Pontypridd, where sadly it has been atrocious. Yeah, we saw that. And when I picked up my phone from Tudo, he was on the phone to his mum, just checking things out. And thankfully, his mum and dad were all right there. Thanks again, Tudo and Karen, for looking after my phone until I was able to pick it up. Bom dia, alegria, Sarah. Hope you're enjoying proper coffee. Top tip, say bem-aja, instead of obrigada, and you will get an even more confusing response. Excellent. Who doesn't like a confusing response first thing in the morning or when conversing with Portuguese people? So hope you're enjoying proper coffee. What does it mean? Was that something we said previously in one
Yes,
of our
because I think when we were talking, and when I went in the Spartan office, they have the instant, which is
Yes.
like,
Oh, yeah. Now
yeah.
you've got used to the coffee over here.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
and then I was saying I've got an espresso machine, and we were just talking about coffee in general. I'm actually staying at a friend's house, and her partner's Italian, and he's got a proper machine. He grinds his own beans, and very spoiled. It is very good, but
Yes.
it's, you know, sort of sometimes you look at the sort of effort and you think, "Oof." But
Yes.
it is worth it because it is very good.
And he's doing it after all. You can
No,
just
he's
sit there.
doing it. So I've got my own barista, so
You can
I'm
watch
a bit spoiled.
the show, can't you? Right. So quick catch up then on life in Portugal. How's it all going?
It's going really well. I've been having these conversations this week, obviously visiting family and friends. How are you getting on? How are you
Yeah.
settling? And I've been very fortunate, I would say. I mean, it's gone really well, touch wood. I feel very settled. You know, I knew a few people like yourself, which obviously that does make a difference, I think. And I've managed to make new friends. I feel like everybody's very welcoming, whether it be the Portuguese. Obviously, there are expats, whether it be American, English, South African, and I think everybody does make an effort to be friends or be welcoming. There's loads of different meetups and ways that you can meet people. So don't worry that you might feel isolated. I mean, obviously it depends where you move to. If you move to somewhere in the middle of nowhere, then maybe you might feel isolated. But
It's your own
generally,
silly fault. It's your own silly fault if you do that. You can't complain about not meeting anyone if you bought yourself a shack in the middle of
yeah.
Central Portugal. But yeah, point taken. Point taken.
But even then, I think you could still find somewhere to meet people. There's always something going on. So I don't think that
I
is
think
too
you're
much
right.
of a problem.
I think you're right. Even in the most rural part of Portugal, there will be an old boy walking down the track with an old stick whittled out of a fallen branch or something, with his cap on, just with a bon dia. Where did he come from? They're going to find you. They're going to find you and be hospitable. So yeah, even
Well, I
there.
think also as well, I think in the smaller towns, what I think's lovely is that because obviously maybe they're not near a bigger town or whatever, they create their own entertainment and their own festivals and things like that. There's always something going on that maybe the camera is organizing or that their locals are doing together. And I think they do come. Obviously the weather does help, but everyone's outside a little bit more, and I think you meet people. Whereas I think here in the UK, you know, often you don't know your neighbours. It's not quite the same actually. So I think that is nice with Portugal.
Absolutely. So all going well. And if you ever get sick of having to be the spokeswoman of somebody who's just recently moved to Portugal, you must tell me. You might not always want
Oh no, I'm never. Well, at the moment, definitely not sick of that because I can't advocate enough. You know, for me, obviously, it was the best decision, but I would recommend it to anybody, or just come over and spend a little bit of time here and travel about and just see if it's for you. But I do think that even for a small country, there's loads of different places. So if you land somewhere and think, "Oh, this is not for me," I'm sure you'll find somewhere that's a fit for you.
Yeah, well said, well said. And before we get into how you're helping other people here, is there anything we can do to help you? Because, you know, that's part of the journey, isn't it? It's like, I mean, even after a few years, I lost my phone on Sunday it was. And so that meant I had to go into a police station for the first time. After all these years, I've been stopped by the police. I've come across the GNR, but I've never wandered into a GNR station, which wasn't actually a very pleasant experience yesterday. But it was okay. You know, maybe my expectations needed recalibrating. You know, after all these years, still new experiences happening, and then ringing up Vodafone to try and deactivate the phone, and then go into a shop and get a SIM card. New experiences many years later. You must be having quite a lot of that, having to meet new situations. Is there anything we can help you with collectively? Anything?
I think at the moment, no, but I think that's the other good thing is that when you do encounter, I wouldn't say a problem, but something, there's loads of people you can ask. You know, that's part of the community. They've either, like you said, you've had an experience and you've done it yourself. I mean, I spoke to a couple at one of the meetups and, you know, they had a flat tire and,
Yes.
you know, how do you navigate that and things like that. So there's always someone that's done it and then can share their experience.
Yes.
I lost my phone when I first got here, which honestly, I don't know how we live without our phones, to be honest.
Yeah, that's what I discovered. Yeah, yeah. What shocked you?
Well, I managed to get it back actually, because I did actually leave it in the Uber. But again, how genuine people are that I actually got my phone back. I thought I'd never see it again, really.
You're not talking about a little town like mine. You're talking about Lisbon, aren't you?
Yeah, exactly.
Metropolis.
And you know, the guy was really good, because I think how the Ubers work is that they have to operate in their area that they're in. So they can't just, he couldn't just come and drop it off. It's only if he was really nearby. It's obviously a little bit strict, I think, with that. But he's like, if I'm in your area, I'll let you know. If not, when it's my day off, I'll come and drop it off. Wow. How lovely is that?
That is fantastic. Absolutely lovely story. Yeah, yeah. So you can't order the Uber to come with your phone in it?
No, because you can't pick the person. You know, it's not like you that's the problem.
Yeah, that's pretty good idea.
Obviously, I can select a fare, but then one of the Ubers, they then think, right, I'll take that ride. So you've got no control whoever that is. I can't select a specific person.
Yes. Yeah. Wow. Very good. Very good. So even in Lisbon or in the greater Lisbon area, you can get your phone recovered if you lose it. I found, Sarah, that it was like losing a limb, which I'm really, again, a little bit ashamed to say. I would walk out of a room and my first thought was, have I got my phone with me? Which had been lost already, but it was just a habitual thing, you know, like wallet, keys and phone. And I'm just so used to having it on me and resorting to it if ever I sit down or, you know, and just realized how awful its overbearing presence is in my life through its absence. Did you have the same sort of thing?
Oh, absolutely. And because I hadn't really been here very long, it was like panic. It's like, oh my, and everything was on the phone. You know, it was like my NIF. I didn't know the number off by heart. Where did I live? What's my address? I don't know off by heart at this point. You know, little things like that. So
little things like that.
Then what I did was, which then people started laughing at me. Then I wrote some of the information on a little bit of paper and put it in my wallet. And then every time I go somewhere, I pull it out.
Are you still using that system?
I've learned it now by heart, but yes, I was using that system. But it's little things like that. I think I was very fortunate because I got the phone back. My concern was, which again, I think there's these little things that you maybe need to have a think about and how you navigate that, is that fortunately I had a spare phone. So I went into a Vodafone shop. The guy was super helpful, and I got a SIM card, so I was kind of back online, so to speak.
And were
But
they able to transfer the number? You kept your number, did you, or did you get a new one?
no, I got a Portuguese number.
Right. Okay. Oh
because,
yeah, you need that anyway. Great.
Yeah, but then, as I said, I found my phone, or I got my phone back. But the challenge is, which I don't know how I would have navigated that, but is that if I hadn't, all your banking apps, all that sort of stuff, they need that two-factor authentication, you know, with the telephone number. So that's the challenge. Even if I got the Portuguese number and I was sort of back online, when I downloaded banking apps or things like that, then they were like, oh, we'll send the code to your English telephone number, which I don't have. Some were quite good in as far as you could get it sent to your email address, which that's fine because I could log into that. But if it was ever to send to your telephone number, you don't have it. So you know, as I said, I didn't have that problem, but that's something to think about. What do people do in that situation? You know, obviously I have a family address here, so I could have got a new SIM card ordered and then they'd have to post it out to me. So again, what's your backup plan slightly of a few different things like that, perhaps? Because I think certainly customers that I've spoken to that are from America living in Portugal, you still need your US telephone number for those sort of reasons, for your banking and for things in the US, that then you'll need a US number.
Yes, absolutely. The two-factor identification is where it really breaks down, isn't it? If you haven't got a phone to receive that information on. And it's really good to think that through. If you can, take a few minutes, probably longer, to realize how much you depend on your phone and back up certain bits of information that you have on there, that if you lost it, you'd be quite stuck without. I, as much as I've moaned about having to put a number in or my thumbprint, like, it's my phone, I just want to be able to pick it up and look at it. Why do I have to be locked out of my own phone and go through a security ritual? I was really glad after I'd lost it that it was locked. So it does seem worthwhile in that eventuality to make sure it's biometrically locked, perhaps, as well. So there you go. Kat left her wallet on the bus with money, debit card, credit cards, bus pass and ID cards in it. Someone drove to our house to let us know it was found and left it at the ticket office in Miranda. Isn't that wonderful? With all that in there as well, which might have even still been in there when she got it back. I'm sure it was. Thank you very much for that. That's a lovely story there. We picked it up at the ticket office. The employee made sure we went through it to make sure nothing was missing and everything was there. Isn't that fabulous? And I wonder, what did you do? Did you buy him a bottle of wine? That's what I want to do when this person who found it gets back. I want to give him a bottle of wine or something like that.
I did that. I gave the Uber driver a bottle of wine as a thank you because he went out of his way to, and I was just so relieved to have the phone back. But you know, it felt like he went out of his way to try and get it back to me.
For sure. Now, that's a nice little segue. Talking of wallets with money in, Sarah, see what I'm doing here? There's a webinar in a couple of days' time, the Expats Portugal webinar. Are you going to be leading this one and talking? This is money transfers amid global shifts and new US policies. All very exciting when it comes to buying euros with dollars at the moment. So will you be there on Thursday?
I will be there on Thursday. I mean, at the moment, obviously, this is very topical. But it's still something, even without this, that obviously I talk about all the time, that it's something people need to think about. And again, it's, you know, talking about the phone thing, thinking about what's your backup plan. It's a similar thing, thinking about, yes, all right, I don't need to make a payment right now, but if I am in Portugal, how does that work? You know, that's where we've seen people encounter issues of, right, some banks won't make international transfers. Some of your banks have limits on how much you can do each day. You know, when you're in America or you're in the UK and you're making transfers, it's much easier because you're there. You're probably only doing a small amount. So they haven't asked you for any extra documentation or authorization. And then you come to Portugal and now all of a sudden I'm buying a house or I'm doing something, you know, out of the country. They want you in there to sign a document. They, as I said, there's a limit. And all of a sudden you need to make a payment by the end of the week, but it's going to take you a couple of months to make that payment or weeks. So it's things like this that we're trying to sort of help people navigate first and foremost to make sure that it's less hassle and that you meet any payment deadlines. But then the other side of it is we're monitoring the exchange rate, and certainly at the moment it is a very good time if you're selling US dollars or you're selling pounds to be buying euros. I mean, at the moment for Americans, we're talking about sort of, apart from when we hit parity in 2022, we're at the best levels in 22 years. So it's a fantastic time to be buying your euros.
Very
and
good.
You can still buy euros with us even if you don't have a Portuguese bank account. We
Yes.
can hold euros for you. We can act in a similar way, or we have contracts that you can fix the rate. So we can go into that in more detail on the webinar. But there is solutions, because some people might think, oh, well, I don't have a bank account at the moment, or I don't have a need. But if you're living in Portugal and you're intending to stay there, at some point you will need to move your money. So it's worth thinking about it maybe sooner rather than later, just to maybe take advantage of those exchange rates.
There we go. So 7:30 on. Okay, yeah, that's why I was thinking, what is it I do on a Thursday when I was invited by the Chakra Shakers to go to their gig? I was thinking to myself, I'm sure there's something I do on a Thursday night, and that would be here, the Expats Portugal webinar, and the dream team thereafter. Honestly, I'll remember it one of these days. It's only been, what, 4 or 5 years of doing that. Dream team's a lot of fun, isn't it? I think that just gets better and better, that 9 o'clock session. With Queen of the Visas. It's like a chessboard, isn't it? Of the chessboard of migration moving pieces. You've got I guess we've got Daniel Ray's literally the king. You've got Queen of the Visas, Gilda, haven't you? And then you've got Archbishop Nunu. I'm not sure. Yeah, you could probably be the other bishop there. Or a knight if you want to be. Yes, it's the strategic.
Or maybe a knight. We're a Spartan. A Spartan a knight? I don't know.
I think you could be a knight, but I think Nunu's quite good as a bishop, don't you?
Yes, I agree.
Or a castle, the stability of the castle, perhaps he's that as well. Yeah, so it's a good evening on a Thursday evening. That's where I'll be. Sorry, Chakra Shakers. Save me a drink, maybe. I'll pop down afterwards.
No, I think it's good for people, because, as I said, with my move, even though I know all these people and had been on the show, when you actually come to do it, you suddenly think, oh, what do I do next? Or how does that work? And, it's a great opportunity to ask the questions. Yes. And as I said, some people on there have done it and can give sort of recommendations or say, yes, I used them and they were good, which is helpful. And again, it's nice for us to have the panel, because, as I said, there's certain aspects people might not think that they need. How does Daniel help? How do you need him? And that sort of thing, which I think, because I know everybody focuses on the visa, which is rightly so, because you need the visa, otherwise you can't come. But around that, what else do you need in order to make this move?
And we find out what their favorite cheeses are as well, don't we? I do love the last question, where we get a little bit of cultural help as well from the whole panel, including last week, because Portugal had won the best cheese in the world. We found out, and everyone liked the buttery, creamy cheese, the likes of which won the tournament. Talking of Portuguese culture, you sent this to me, didn't you? Lisbon beats Paris for best food in Europe. That's a hard one to believe. I mean, no disrespect to Portugal, but Paris and French food is legendary the world over, and has been for many years. Yeah, it sounds like you were quite pleased or surprised to see this yourself as well.
I think because we had the conversation on the Dream Team about cheese and wine, it was something that Gilda said, and I thought, actually, maybe that's the case. So what she said was, like, for example, that now I think Portuguese wine was sort of overtaking French wine, but and it was a case of, it was more that Portuguese wine has been unknown until more recently, if that makes sense. So it's not a case of we've been comparing Portuguese wine to French wine all these years and it's better. It's just that Portuguese wine hasn't been as well known. I mean, to be honest, I didn't really know Portuguese wine until I came to Portugal. It's not something that's readily, massively available in the supermarket. Yes, you get the odd Portuguese wine, but it is mainly, other countries. So when I got here, I love the Portuguese wine, and could maybe say that some are like that. So again, it's just unknown. So when I saw this, it was kind of the timing was apt, because we'd just been talking about how great cheese and wine was in Portugal. And then I saw this. And as I said, maybe it's because it's not as well known. And now people are starting to get to know the food and the wine here. And maybe it will overtake Paris.
And it's not, how can I put this? It's more accessible, isn't it? Certainly cost-wise, no question about that. I think the French have enjoyed putting a massive premium on their goods because of their worldwide reputation and history. That's not the case so much in Portugal. So let's enjoy that while we can before the prices do go up, which they will, very, very likely to. And I think this is again a little bit awkward, but it's much friendlier in Portugal when you're trying all these things. I think as well as the price, there is a certain snootiness. There's a French stereotype, isn't there? They know their stuff's good and it is good, and with that comes, I don't know, the how you have to sort of bend over backwards or go down on one knee if you're in Paris, pay a lot more money, and sort of like, I'm so sorry to be here, but would you mind serving me some of your amazing French food? Well, I suppose so. Take a seat. It's like it's not really, not necessarily that friendly, and I'm sure there are exceptions to the rule.
I mean, obviously there is sort of
different,
I think, levels of style of food. Obviously, as you said, you've got the high end, but what people have said, and I get it now, is that some of the sort of even in the UK, you get a lot of chains. Here, you don't. A lot of independent, small, family-run restaurants, and they say that some of them, it's like being in somebody's home.
Yeah,
and it's having like a home cooked meal, and it is, and it's lovely. And I think it's because of the lovely dishes that they have, are things that obviously people have grown up with, but also because I think it's family run. It's made with love, I think.
Yeah. Absolutely. Well said. Well said. So well done. Keep it up, Portugal. Before we go, we're thinking of doing, as well as the webinar on Thursday, which is general purpose, isn't it? And especially geared towards US dollars buying euros, although you will be able to address other currencies there should people have those questions. We wanted to do a little bit of a specialist webinar. Money Magic is the working title so far, and this was João de Nort's idea. Why is US banking and finance different from the EU and UK? How is US banking and finance different from the EU and UK? Retiree passive income versus earned income, necessity of maintaining a US presence is important, usefulness of keeping a US phone and US legal address, which we've talked about, necessity or usefulness of intermediary financial vehicles such as Spartan FX and others, and tax gotchas such as the FBAR, and tax filing sequence, the pros or cons. So a little bit of currency, a little bit of money, a little bit of money management, and taxation. We want to bring that into a little bit of a mini webinar for the Portugal Club. So you're happy to be involved with that, as I understand it.
Yes.
If others are, they need to keep an eye out for that.
Yeah, I think speaking to people that have now moved to Portugal, I think it was last year and this year, that's one of the sort of comments that they do say to me, is that the things they, what you wish you knew, that sort of thing. And they do, a lot of them have said they wish they'd done a little bit more investigation or research, or looked a little bit more into tax and money transfers, because again, as I said, everyone focuses massively on the visa, which is right, but then, and a little bit still on sort of tax and money, but I think not as much as they should.
Yeah, it's a wealth management piece, isn't it? And I think a lot of people don't look into wealth management because they imagine that's just for people of massive means, isn't it? But if you're coming to Portugal, you've obviously got some wealth, and that needs to be managed well. And so we'll put a little evening together. It'll be informal, but it'll be people helping people who've been through that situation and are about to go through that situation. So sort of peer-to-peer support. One night on the Portugal Club. Join us for that tonight at 8:30 as well. And just a couple more things in response. Antonio, a bit of Tony time this morning. Good morning to you, Antonio. Happy Tuesday, Tony time, the man in the Mino. We've got Pam with a brace of messages as well. Going to Monte Gordo next May. Does anyone have any suggestions of places to visit nearby? That'll be Veronica, is your lady. When she's back, I'm sure she'll be happy to help you. We're thinking of extending our stay a few days. She's done videos actually as well about what to do over that way in Monte Gordo. You've been down there and seen Monte Gordo, haven't you, Sarah?
Yes. So I was staying in Altura, I think that's how you pronounce it, with a friend. It's very small, sort of seasidey, but the beaches are lovely and they stretch all the way along, and there's decking down as well, so you can walk all the way along or on the beach. I went to visit Veronica in Villarreal, San Antonio. That was beautiful.
Yes.
Absolutely beautiful. Definitely recommend you visit there. I haven't been to Tavira, but they said that's very nice. That's not far away.
Johnny
And then
Cocktails
also,
there. Johnny Cocktails in Tavira. Frank's over that way as well, Pam. Yeah. Sorry.
and you, well, not that I'm advocating Spain, but you're literally at the border. I went over. You just drive over the bridge, and then you're in Spain. It's quite surreal, but that's lovely. The towns on the other side and the beaches. But yes, that area is
such
lovely.
a buzz, though, isn't it, to drive over or get the ferry to Spain as well and enjoy two countries for the price of one there. So have a great time, Pam. Closer to home, weekly meetup in Alcobaça this afternoon. If anyone's in the area, got to visit Alcobaça. Have you been over there yet, Sarah?
No, I haven't been there yet.
Right. That reminds me, we want to do a trip to the wine museum in Alcobaça. I hope, Sarah, you can make that. So that's a really good reason to go over to Alcobaça. And then back to this matter of cars and phones and so on. I had trouble paying the deposit for a hire car in the UK using my nationwide card because it was unusual activity. Yeah, trying to make a purchase, unusual activity. Luckily, for your own benefit, it's crazy times, isn't it? Luckily, my Portuguese CTT card worked over there. That's good to know. All right, thank you for that. And by the way, never liked French wine anyway. Very good. Thanks, Sarah. Thank you for being here this morning. I'll see you on Thursday. For
No problem.
Webinar.
Nice to see everybody.
See you over there then. Yeah, all right, all the best. Take care and bye for now.
Bye.
See ya. Right, there goes Sarah. And as I said, a somewhat extended Good Morning Portugal show this morning because we're going to try and help a friend of a friend here who is currently missing in Thailand. So let's bring Siobhan on to talk about this. Good morning to you, Siobhan. Sorry to be talking to you in these difficult circumstances. Shock news that came to you, what, in the last day or so?
Yes, Carl, we got the news a few days ago. So it's not just a friend of a friend. Daniel dos Santos, Portuguese. He lived here for several years with his wife Avalon. And they have two small children, Ocean and Sky. And Ocean's been a part of our Quinta kids the whole time they were here, and also her nephew. So it's a family we were very close to, and that moved to Thailand, actually back to Thailand for a while, more for Ocean's education.
Yeah.
And yeah, this devastating news that Daniel disappeared, I guess on the 12th or the 17th, sorry, of this month.
Yeah.
And obviously the real problem is Avalon's, his wife's situation with the two young kids, and so we feel a bit helpless here because we don't really know how we can help. But it touches us, you know, it's one of our community, and I think with the Quinta and the association, it's one thing we've managed to do really, really well is build up a huge, incredible community of people from all over the world, and so we're just mobilizing. At the moment, the big thing is actually Daniel was the major caretaker for the children. He was the more maternal one. And Avalon worked online, and she lost her job 2 days ago because of the situation.
No. Right.
So financially, it's very tough for them. And, you know, when you're not expecting it, I know what it's like, Carl. I think you do too, when you really have no money and you don't know what to do.
Yeah.
And so I decided that they do have a GoFunding, but obviously GoFunding is quite hard to share, and GoFunding takes a large percentage of the money.
Yeah.
So what I've decided to do is I've now got a hold of her PayPal account. We're waiting for her Revolut account so that people that can help in any way, I've asked everybody, even my neighbors, like if you give €5, send it. Just financially, they need the help. What for? Ready, it's just to feed for the basic needs of the kids and for her. And also they're trying to mobilize, you know, search dogs, etc. It may be too late for Daniel. I don't want to be negative, but the real preoccupation here are the children and Avalon, who many people know Avalon. She made bagels. Daniel dos Santos, she used to help people getting their Portuguese papers here, the residency cards. They were very, very involved. They lived in Óbidos. Ocean went to the local school. So I'm sure a lot of people actually know who they are. And that's why I contacted you this morning, just to see if we can help out however we can.
Yeah, well, what we can do is snip this off the end of the show and make it a separate segment, and I'll attach his father-in-law's appeal, because the father-in-law has now gone out to Thailand to try and help, but the circumstances are that he just disappeared. He kind of vanished, didn't he? And is missing, and there is some concern about the response from the police in Thailand about what's actually going on. They're finding it difficult to find out what's going on, as I understand it.
Yeah, that's exactly. And why he's disappeared, many people are asking me, and I mean, I don't think anybody knows. There is some mysterious things going on. It could have been that he was depressed. It could have been anything, that he's been abducted. We don't know.
Right.
We don't want to make up stories. And I think, you know, a lot of people may be able to help in our community, because we have a lot of people that have traveled all over the world, as you know. Maybe somebody has a network that can help more in place there. So if you do put the father's appeal, who I spoke to him this morning before we came on the radio, because I wanted to make sure that, you know, they're all okay with it. I also got Avalon, his wife, who's very grateful already for all the help everyone's doing. But if we can share his appeal, and we're trying to send it out all over the world, because maybe somebody has a way that they can get through a little bit more to the police. Now, I think the father has said, Daniel's stepfather has said it in his own words and completely sincerely, and I think it's as transparent as it can be. And so any help that any of us can do, Carl, I think would help at this point. And the fact is, there's two little boys that are apparently, every time a car drives by, they're, you know, calling daddy, daddy, daddy. So
I bet. My God.
And this is how we can help, Carl, and I hope everybody will mobilize to help. And as I said, if it is donations, we're giving all Avalon's bank details direct, so that it goes as fast as possible to them. Yeah.
Is there a preference? Because I don't really understand these systems, but there's a couple of which of these would be best, do you think? Venmo?
I think the best things is to go through the PayPal account, which we sent this morning. There will be a Revolut account. Of course, you feel free, anybody, to contact me. I'll give it to you. We're just waiting for it because of the time difference. And obviously, yesterday, for instance, there's a lot of shocking. Yesterday, they did find a body, but unfortunately, it was not his body. I don't mean it fortunate or unfortunate, but you know what I'm saying? It was a traumatic day. So we're trying to get as much information out of Avalon as possible and making it as easy as possible, so that the money can get to her as fast as possible. There is a GoFund page as well. They started, and as I said, it's had a hard time starting up, etc. And also, I just feel like, you know, if we can send it directly to her, it avoids us all losing 30%.
Understood. And this is the most direct way, presumably, of getting in contact is the Facebook group, Help Find Daniel dos Santos, and this is in Koh Phangan in Thailand, and he disappeared like about a week ago now, right? Or a little bit over a week ago.
It's just over a week ago. So and as you can imagine, it's very complicated. It must be horrific. I can't imagine.
Yes.
Trying to mobilize to see if there's somebody that could go. One of her, they don't have a huge family, so if there is somebody available that could go, even to help Avalon out with the children. So I think they're looking into getting like some nanny or something go from the States. But you know, some people have been asking me like, well, what happened? Well, we don't know what happened. That's not the point at the moment.
They just need help.
They just need help, and if anyone's willing to help, that's all we're asking.
All right, let's see what we can do, folks. If you've got any contacts out there, that's the Facebook group there, and I'll leave the Venmo QR code up at the end. And I mean, if you need more help, obviously you can get in touch with me, and I can put you in touch with Siobhan or directly with this Facebook group. Let's see how we can help. Siobhan, let's stay hopeful for some positive news here, and make sure that we get the family some support. I'll make this a clip, and I'll put the father-in-law's appeal as part of it as well. So sorry to see you under these circumstances. We'll leave it there today and see what we can do to help. Okay, everybody.
Thanks so much.
See you again tomorrow. Take care.
Bye.
Yeah. All right. Bye for now. Let me just play the outro here.
In Portugal, there's a YouTube show full of fun facts you need to know. Carl rings the bell and the members show to the GMP morning show. will come and they will blow your mind. The audience will do so in kind. A little vanity mixed with some insanity on the morning show with GMP.